Well, Hewlett-Packard has hired a headhunter to find someone to replace ousted CEO Marc Hurd. Three people familiar with the matter say HP is putting the executive search firm Spencer Stuart in charge of the hunt. It's the second time in 5 years that HP has been left leaderless with no obvious successor. Our next guest says it's in the public interest for HP's board to get it right this time and fill the job fast. Anthony Bianco is the author of The Big Lie: Spying, Scandal, and the Ethical Collapse at Hewlett-Packard. And Tony joins us here in the studio today. We should also mention, of course, HP is out with its earnings after the bell today. You say that they have to find a new CEO fast. I mean, how easy is it going to be? They've got a headhunting firm. They've got the board on the task. Who's out there who might be able to fill these shoes?
I do think they should do it as fast as possible, but I think it's more important to get it right. In the same way that Marc Hurd was an antidote to the CEO that preceded him, Carly Fiorina, now HP needs a very different kind of CEO. The antidote to Marc Hurd, if you will. And that is someone the board can trust implicitly, a person of high moral character, and the kind of leader that can recreate a climate at HP that's conducive to innovation.
And how do you do that? I mean, there's been a lot of questions over Marc Hurd's departure, and of course you're familiar with, there was a column in the New York Times over the weekend that talked about the mistrust between the board and Marc Hurd, and also the lack of confidence of the employees. I mean, obviously you can't just swoop in, bring another CEO and rebuild that overnight. How do you go about doing that?
Well, first of all, I got to pick the right person, and then that person has to come in and do and say the right things. Actually, doing the right things is more important. In his last few years, Marc Hurd amassed power and money for himself, and many people at HP didn't share in that. It became the Marc Hurd show, the same way under Carly Fiorina, it became the Carly Fiorina show. It's not just about one person at a company that employs 300,000 people.
Well, did he have the respect of his charges? Was he respected or feared?
Well, I think at first he did have everyone's respect, but as the 5 years wore on, he became more feared than respected.
Why?
He was a very authoritarian sort of leader because everything there was about making the numbers. He had to bring discipline back to the company, but he took it too far, and it became a very rigid, demanding, difficult place.
Examples?
If you really didn't make your numbers at HP, you would be on your way out. And a lot of people didn't want to work there anyway, so there's all sorts of resumes around Silicon Valley and elsewhere, people at HP, important people, looking to go to some place where they feel more appreciated and operate in a way that made them comfortable as well as rewarded.
How confident are you that the company's going to do a better job this time finding the right person? I mean, we talked about the hiring of Spencer Stuart to sort of lead this search process. Is that an encouraging sign to you?
Well, last time, actually, I think they did a good job in finding Hurd. He was an unconventional choice, and they made a bold sort of move in getting him. This time, I would hope they would be similarly bold. Last time, it was a different search firm. Spencer Stuart is the firm you'd expect them to go to. They do most of the big searches in Silicon Valley, and that, unfortunately, might argue for a more conventional choice.
And you've also said that you're encouraged by the presence of Marc Andreessen on the board of HP, as perhaps bringing it back to this focus on innovation that you talked about.
Right. Marc Andreessen is a great digital entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, most famously Netscape. He's the youngest member of the board, the least tenured member of the board, yet he apparently has emerged as a dominant member of the search committee that's looking for the new CEO. It sends a signal about the kind of CEO they're looking for, I believe.
So Julie just mentioned that focus on innovation. When did HP lose its technology edge?
Well, really in the 90s, they completely failed to anticipate the emergence of the internet.
How is that possible?
They had some good businesses, traditional businesses, that they were just milking. It was the path of least resistance to not take risks, the risks associated with starting a new business, and just play out the businesses you already have. Unless a company from the top is insisting that those risks be taken, they tend not to get taken.
Do you think we're going to hear anything on the CEO front from the call today from HP following its earnings? I mean, sure, people want to see the numbers, but really they want to know who's going to be leading the company.
The company's been very tight-lipped since the announcement that Hurd was going. There's been leaking going on, as there always is at most companies, especially HP. But I wouldn't expect them to say anything more today, perhaps than that they've hired this search firm and that they're doing everything they can.
Tony, could I ask in our last 20 seconds, job one for the new CEO, turn the corporate culture around?
I think so, because I think the earnings probably be pretty good today. The company is performing well financially. It's fairly stable that way. So the cultural job of turnaround, as you mentioned, is job one, but that's not something you do in a night or two.
All right, author Tony Bianco talking to us today about HP. Tony, pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.